Hello everyone, this is Showtime 112. Welcome to part 6 of our series on the air war during the 1956 Suez Crisis. You can find links to the previous episodes in the video description. We're still covering events from October 31st, with both the Israeli and Egyptian air forces committing most of their resources to close air support, interdiction, and combat air patrol missions. That morning, the Israelis lost the Mustang and a T-6 Harvard, with several other aircraft sustaining damage. But their ground forces desperately needed all the air support they could get, so even older piston engine fighters and trainers continued flying combat missions. Number 116 Squadron launched their first sortie at 10 a.m. 6 Mustangs flew at low altitude over central Sinai, searching for the Egyptian 1st Armored Brigade. While passing over an Egyptian fortification, 2 aircraft from the second pair were hit. Despite the damage, they pressed on, but soon after, one of the pilots, Jacob Raffaeli, was forced to make an emergency landing near Jebel Libni when his engine failed. This area was still under Egyptian control. Raffaeli's leader, Yonatan Etkes, remained overhead, orbiting the landing site until 12:25, even though his own Mustang had been damaged. Fortunately for Raffaeli, Israeli ground forces were advancing towards his position, and he was rescued around 4:30 p.m. This incident once again highlighted the vulnerability of liquid-cooled engines in air-to-ground missions. Meanwhile, 4 Israeli Meteors from number 117 Squadron were assigned to strike an Egyptian radar station near El Arish. They strafed the target successfully, but it turned out to be yet another Egyptian decoy. However, this actually worked in Israel's favor, as the real radar site would soon fall into their hands nearly intact. The Egyptian Air Force was heavily engaged in the Abu Agela sector, where their ground troops were on the verge of being encircled. Multiple formations of Vampires, Meteors, and MiGs from Kabrit and Abu Suwair were launched, leading to several encounters with Israeli aircraft, some of which escalated into air combat. Around noon, 8 MiG-15s from Kabrit escorted 4 Meteors and 4 Vampires on a strike mission against Israeli ground forces near Jebel Libni. After the attack, one MiG section spotted 2 Israeli Uragans. Squadron leader Nazif Khalifa, leading the MiG formation, decided to split into pairs. His pair engaged the Uragan leader, while Flight Lieutenant Bader's pair targeted the wingman. Israeli pilot Ran Sharon suddenly heard his wingman, Avinoam Rosen, warn over the radio, "Number 1, brake, MiGs are right behind you." But Sharon also spotted 3 MiGs behind Rosen and ordered him to brake as well. The accounts from both sides differ significantly. Sharon recalls being heavily outnumbered, claiming he and his wingman fought against 8 MiGs. He described maneuvering through a series of turns, gaining an advantage over one enemy fighter, but always having another MiG on his tail. Realizing he was badly outnumbered, he executed a split S to disengage, hoping the pursuing MiG would eventually crash into the ground, but that didn't happen. He managed to escape, but didn't have enough fuel to return to base, forcing him to make an emergency landing. His Uragan was eventually repaired and returned to service. Israeli sources report that the other Uragan, flown by Avinoam Rosen, was damaged, but made it back to base. However, according to Egyptian records, Khalifa managed to hit Sharon's aircraft in the wing from about 150 meters, forcing him to disengage. Meanwhile, Badr and his wingman, Flight Officer Zain, attacked Rosen's Uragan, which they claimed exploded and spun out of control. The Egyptians believed they had scored a kill, but Israeli records dispute this. The discrepancies don't end there. Around the same time, 5 Mustangs from No. 116 Squadron were assigned to strike the Egyptian 1st Armored Brigade between Bir Hama and Bir Gifgafa. They found a long column of tanks, health tracks and jeeps, stretching for kilometers. Attacking from the south with bombs and rockets, they reported destroying 4 tanks, 3 tracked vehicles, and an anti-aircraft gun. However, some Mustangs were hit in the process. Pilot Uri Schlesinger attempted an emergency landing, but was killed. Israelis attributed his loss to ground fire, but Egyptian sources claimed that MiGs returning from the dogfight with the Uragans intercepted 2 Mustangs. Flight Lieutenant Zuhair allegedly scored hits on one of them, forcing the pilot to crash land in the desert. Based on timing and location, this could have been Schlesinger's aircraft, though the Israelis insist it was anti-aircraft fire that brought him down. Another dogfight occurred sometime after 1 p.m. A MiG-15 patrol at 20,000 feet between Bir Hama and Bir Hassana spotted an Israeli Uragan flying low. The Egyptian pilot, Farouk Al-Ghazawi, who first saw the enemy, was given the lead in his first air combat engagement. He closed in and fired 3 bursts as the Uragan tried to evade. The Israeli pair, led by Yacob Agassi from No. 113 Squadron, spotted the attacking MiG. Agassi misidentified the aircraft as a MiG-17, but felt confident he could outturn it. He fired and believed he had hit the MiG. Meanwhile, Ghazavi described feeling 2 booms, initially suspecting the shock waves from his target slipstream. Agassi fired again from about 200 meters, saw the MiG smoke, and dove to the deck at full power. Ghazavi then climbed to 6,000 meters. Despite his damaged aircraft, he safely landed. He claimed a probable victory, believing he had forced the enemy to crash land. However, Israeli records state that both Agassi and his wingman returned to base, leaving this another contested Egyptian claim. At 1:30 p.m., another aerial clash unfolded. 10 MiG-15s took off to assist an Egyptian army unit near Abu Agela. 4 MiGs attacked ground targets, while 6 provided escort. Inexperienced Fuad Kamal was in the most vulnerable position in the formation. He spotted 2 enemy aircraft approaching from 4 o'clock and radioed a warning, but his fellow pilots didn't respond. The aircraft Kamal saw were Mystères from 101 Squadron, flown by Jakob Nevo and Josef Zuk, both of whom we've covered in previous episodes. Naval closed in to 200 meters and opened fire, sending Kamal's MiG into a spin. Kamal immediately lost control and ejected, watching his aircraft consumed by flames. The descent felt endless, with El Arish burning in the distance. He landed in the desert where suspicious Bedouins initially found him. Eventually, with their help, he reached an Egyptian army position at 10 p.m. As October 31st came to a close, the intensity of combat had not yet subsided. Many events remain unaddressed in the video, including inconclusive dogfights, numerous air-to-ground and reconnaissance missions, 2 more Israeli Mustangs lost, and several aircraft damaged. Egyptian pilots believed they had secured air superiority over Sinai, claiming at least 6 aerial victories, including 3 Uragans, while admitting the loss of 2 MiG-15s. However, Israeli sources heavily dispute these figures. At this stage, the Egyptians remained confident, but after nightfall, the Anglo-French aerial assault finally began, making November 1, 1956 a devastating day for the Egyptian Air Force. We'll explore these dramatic developments in the next episode. Thank you for watching Showtime 112.